My 34F stepmom, 65F, is angry over being excluded from my family's holiday celebrations. I am 34. My father, 65M, and his wife, Melody, 65F, live 2 hours from me and my family. We have little to no relationship. They married while I was in college, and we met once prior to the wedding, and only briefly a handful of times since then. We, me, my wife, and our kids, went down to their home on the 26th, so the kids could see Grandpa and Miss Melody. She says she's too young to be a grandma, and never offered for them to call her grandma or anything similar. She asked how they enjoyed their Christmas. Kids shared about their presents, about the scavenger hunt we did for candy canes in the backyard, and petting a reindeer. Then it happened. They talked about how we went to see Grandma's grave on Mother's Night, and talked about cleaning the area. The leaves had piled up a bit, and putting new flowers down and putting out bird food, and then how they had gone to see Mimi Mill. 68. My stepmom got very upset, saying that she is grandma. Youngest, 4M, says, "You're not grandma, you're Miss Melly." Stepmom walked out with a huff, and didn't come out for the next 2 hours we were there. Dad apologized multiple times, but I waved it off. Now Melody is angrily calling and saying I'm trying to ruin her relationship with my dad. How? And my kids by excluding her from mom traditions. I pointed out that she told me when I was 20, that she never wanted to be a mom and would never be my mom, refused to come to my wedding with Dad even though she was invited, and has the kids call her Miss Melody. She has also never come up to visit us, even when my dad does. They only see her once a year. Dad is now mad at me for upsetting his wife, and says she's been crying about it off and on and that I need to fix it. I don't really see any way to fix it. Is there some way I can make this right? And #X200B. Too long did not read. My stepmom is mad that she wasn't included in grandma traditions at Christmas. And #X200B. Nope, you didn't do anything wrong. She doesn't get to refuse all motherly roles yet take grandmother ones. Hold your ground. I don't see how it's your problem. Or what you could do to fix this. You did nothing wrong, unless you had a playing hand in this. Ask them why you are involved? Or why they feel they need to involve you in the type of issues they should be working out themselves. For a 65-year-old, she sounds very immature. So it might be right that she is too young to be a grandma. Tell them to grow up? Think you know what to do, as you usually do, meet them scarcely. Sounds like she's mad because she was put in her place by a 4-year-old. Remind her she chose not to be a mom, and that you're not offering now. Tell your dad you're not apologizing. She's being very unreasonable. She set the tone and now she's sulking because you're abiding by it. I'd leave her stew. Tell your father to fix it himself, she's his wife not yours. You don't need to fix it. A therapist needs to fix it, her. My husband, 33M, and I, 33F, disagree about permanent sterilization. My husband and I are expecting our second child. The baby will be born via C-section because my first delivery was long and difficult. I'm considering getting my tubes tied right after the C-section, since the two procedures can be combined seamlessly. However, my husband is strongly against it because he wants us to have at least one more kid, or at least keep that door open. In short, I've always wanted 2 kids, but my husband wants at least 3. It's been his dream to have 3 kids since he was a kid himself, and he wants it more than any career or financial accomplishment either of us could ever achieve. Before we got married, I made it clear to him that I can only promise to try for 2 kids. He reluctantly accepted that, but possibly hoped that I'd change my mind. Years later, I have not changed my mind. During that time, I've had a miscarriage, a difficult delivery with my wonderful first baby, and a rough second pregnancy. And I will be having a C-section next year, which will probably mean another long recovery. I want to be done with pregnancy and birthing after this baby is born. As for birth control, we've previously relied on the fertility awareness method and pulling out, alternating them in a way where if either method failed, we could get pregnant. That was an okay risk for me then, but I don't want a third child, so I don't want to keep rolling the dice. Regarding other options, I had a bad reaction to birth control pills once, and would like to avoid all hormonal birth control because of it. Also, my husband doesn't like condoms and doesn't want to use them regularly. I've heard too many horror stories about the copper IUD for me to be brave enough to try it. Would it be okay for me to proceed with getting my tubes tied against my husband's wishes, or would that only cause problems in our marriage? And #X200B. Too long did not read. I want to get sterilized after my second baby, but my husband wants us to have one more biological kid. I strongly recommend having this conversation with a marriage counselor. Speaking from experience. Had a very similar situation and it helped immensely. I had some sympathy with your husband until I saw that his attitude to birth control is for you to take the burden and risks. He doesn't like condoms, but he has no problems with you risking your health avoiding pregnancy or coping with difficult pregnancies. It may cause problems if you go ahead, but that is because he has not compromised or respected the impact of his decisions on you. He wants kids. He doesn't want to use condoms. He doesn't want to have a vasectomy. He doesn't want you to have your tubes tied. What about what you want op? Is he completely ignoring your needs, or not even willing to compromise? Like getting a vasectomy which is safe and reversible. He puts all the burden on you. Oh well, if you don't want to carry around a child for 9 months and possibly have another traumatic experience, you must take mind-altering hormones. Because I'm definitely not going to take responsibility here and tend to your wishes. It is more than okay to get your tubes tied if you want to. He does not get to decide if you should have another baby. That's a decision both partners need to be 100% on. There are layers here. As for your marriage, it may cause problems, but it is your decision and you are clear. I see this as the kind of thing where he has a voice but no vote. You have heard him and considered it and decided. He needs to hear you. But there is another problem. Doctors often refuse to do this without the husband's permission. I know that sounds crazy, but it is true. So talk to your doctor now. Make it clear that you know what you want and that you are the patient. Your husband has no voice or vote with the doctor. And I am sending you hope that everything goes well next year for you and your soon-to-be baby. Yes, it would be more than okay to exercise your bodily autonomy, especially over your reproductive system. Please don't let your husband make that decision for you or talk you out of it. Based on what you've said here, it's 100% the right choice. If he wants a third kid, he can gestate them himself. Babies are 2 yes, 1 no. Besides, it is your body. He can't control it or you. Do what you want. If him not having control over your body causes problems in the marriage, then it is already troubled. Just not so much in ways easy to see. This one is easy. Get your tubes tied. It doesn't matter if it causes problems in your marriage. Do you honestly think that not getting them tied isn't going to cause problems for you? You're gonna let him force you into trying for a third just because you're afraid you'll cause problems? If his problem with it is so big, the solution is for him to leave, not for you to concede to a third child you don't want. Get your tubes tied, op. Your husband isn't the one who has to carry a child to term, especially after a miscarriage and 2 difficult pregnancies. If he grows to resent you for it, he's not a good person at all. I assume he doesn't want to adopt either, because they never do. Marriage counseling should be number 1 though. Maybe he needs to hear from a third party about how much of an insensitive dolt he's being. How can I salvage things with my wife? My 42M wife, 38, and I have been married for 17 years. I think our marriage is over. Our daughter, 14, doesn't want a relationship with her mother anymore. At all. I've made the decision not to force her. We're both staying in a hotel right now. I'm going to try to be brief here, but more details on the original situation are in this post. Okay, my post got blocked for the link. But, if you go to my profile, it's my only other post. The long and short is, my wife is racist and homophobic, and I had no idea. She's been bullying our daughter's POC friend and being controlling to our daughter, refusing to let her wear pants to school and other things. Our daughter might be trans or bisexual or neither, and I have no idea how to handle it. I've been reading some things and watching some videos, but the information is confusing. One thing everyone seems to say though is that I have to protect my daughter from anyone that might hurt her. My wife might be one of those people. We can't stay in a hotel forever, especially once the holiday break is over. Eventually, my daughter and I have to go back home to my wife. My wife is angry with me. She didn't see our daughter at all on Christmas, and she has texted that she might never forgive me for that. I don't know if I can ever forgive her either. Is there a way for me to get her to accept that our daughter might not be straight? I have no idea how to have the conversation, especially since my daughter hasn't given me permission to tell her mom about that. How can I save our marriage? If you want to save your relationships with your daughter, you will end things with your wife. I can tell you with certainty that she will never change. People who go out of their way to be racist to their daughter's friends will never, ever change. Protect your daughter and choose her. That is your only option if you wish to keep one of the two people in your life. I recommend filing for separation and make your wife leave. Make sure your daughter asks to stay with you. Make it clear to your wife she needs to get help and therapy or you will get a divorce. Don't negotiate and make it clear those are the terms. Take this from a black gay woman. Your wife will continue to be racist. Maybe she will be more careful about her actions so you won't see it, but she not gonna change. She's also not gonna stop being a homophobic. Maybe in a decade she will consider changing to have a relationship with said child, but it's not gonna work. If you want to save a relationship with your child, I advise you all seek individual therapy and prepare for a divorce. Your wife racially profiled a child, you can't be saved from that. Hope you and your child can have a better new year. Why do you want to salvage things with a racist and homophobic and possibly transphobic person, especially because of your daughter? My advice? Kick her out and divorce. If she is the breadwinner, you and your girl get your own place and leave her behind. She'll be better off without her. Even if you could get your wife to accept your daughter's sexual orientation, is she the kind of person you would want to have as your life partner? You seem to be glossing over what it means to be a racist homophobe and are singularly focused on how it impacts your daughter's relationship to her mother, and whether that can be salvaged. I have no idea how this remained a secret for 17 years. Love is blind, I guess. To each their own, but this would be a deal-breaker for many people who are not also racist homophobes. You've been married for 2 decades and didn't have a clue? Admit it, you were the same but obviously you had a change of heart. She didn't. I refuse to believe anyone is that oblivious after 17 years. If your daughter wants nothing to do with her mother, that's her prerogative. If you feel like the marriage is over, end it. And if that horrid woman wants to continue on her path of hatred and abuse, let her. But do not let her infect you or your daughter's life. At a certain point, you make choices. Like the choice to be actively racist or homophobic. Choose to walk away and do what's best. Why would you want to save a marriage to someone so fundamentally flawed? My opinion is you should protect your daughter and not worry so much about saving a marriage to a woman who holds her bigotry above actual people in her life. How is it that you've missed this aspect of your wife's personality for so long? Me, 28M. Dating a smelly girl, 25F. I, 28M. Recently started dating a cute, smart, and funny woman, 25F. Who I've been enjoying getting to know. We have fun hanging out and have hooked up a few times. I feel like the relationship is starting to progress a bit, but things are pretty casual for the moment. And #X200B. Here's my dilemma, she smells bad to me. It's not a big deal when we're just hanging out, but when hooking up it's pretty off-putting to the point of me having to breathe through my mouth to stay in the mood. She's from India and I'm from the US. It might just be a mismatch in our culture's beau expectations or something, but it's the main thing holding me back from trying to pursue this relationship more seriously. And #X200B. What should I do? I don't think we're close enough yet for me to openly discuss this with her, and that might be unfair to do even if we were closer. It feels like I'm being shallow having something this simple prevent me from pursuing an otherwise promising relationship, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a pretty big turnoff to me. Does anyone have experience with a similar situation? Do people think this is something I could bring up to her without hurting her? Thanks. And #X200B. Throwaway account as she might know, learn my real account. South Asian girl here. She likely doesn't know it and it will likely hurt her feelings. But you obviously care about her enough to post on here and find a solution, so that's good. I think you need to rip the band-aid. Say you like her a lot but the smell of her current deodorant is strong and was wondering if she was willing to try a new deodorant. You are also saving her from years of embarrassment in the US. Been here before in college. We had an Indian pledge brother that we loved but nobody wanted to stand next to him because the smell of curry and lack of deodorant. A few of us had to approach him and say that we really love him as a friend but his beau was so bad that it's affecting his relationship with other people. We wanted everyone to always welcome him. He took it very well and suddenly got a girlfriend after taking care of that situation. He wasn't even aware it was an issue. You're already having sex with her, how much closer do you need to be to discuss it? Dated a guy like this who grew up on a farm. Talked to him and after that he showered every day and always wore deodorant. Wasn't an issue after the conversation. Info. Are you referring to general body odor or specifically vaginal odor? ETA. It really sounds like you just need to discuss it with her. If you're right and this is a cultural thing, she may not be aware there's any issue. I get that it's not going to be a fun conversation, but it's either discuss it with her, or pass up on a potentially very rewarding relationship otherwise. My roommate in college was from India, and while she didn't smell, she said it wasn't culturally common for Indians to wear deodorant. She really might not know. Just tell her. Be open about it. Communication is key. If she doesn't want to change, then move on. I had same problem and I moved on. We are now friends. I'm the smelly girl.